You'd think you'd know his name. Every time you switch on a light or turn on your radio. His contributions are as far-reaching as those of Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, or even his nemesis, Tom Edison. This mysterious, tall, dark Serbian invented alternating current, wireless communication, the modern electric motor, basic laser and radar technology, X-rays, neon, robotics, remote control and cellular technology, and even Star Wars tactical warfare, all over 100 years ago. Yet today, who's ever heard of Nikola Tesla?
The next thing that we talk about is scalar energy. It's a very interesting phenomenon. This is something written by a leading conceptualist in energy, alternative energy, Thomas Edison. You can look up in the internet. What he said in
In the global race for new technology, it appears that Tesla's death beam is not the only secret invention that supposedly disappears when he dies. On July 4, 1976, the celebration of America's bicentennial, a strange new signal is monitored on ham radio frequencies. This high-pitched chattering is dubbed the woodpecker signal by the Central Intelligence Agency. On July 13, 1977, at 9:19 p.m., the woodpecker signal abruptly stops. A strange corona forms around Edison electric power generators servicing New York City, and the entire city is suddenly plunged into darkness, creating chaos and confusion. The blackout is similar in its effects to Tesla's Colorado Springs experiment that overloads and sets ablaze the local electrical power plant.
Let's begin with capacitance. Capacitance is the physical property of all AC circuits that opposes a change in voltage. Because capacitance opposes a change in voltage, it has some effects that you should be aware of. For example, the capacitance in high voltage motors and distribution cables causes these motors and cables to store up energy. That stored up energy doesn't go away every time you turn off the power. So, if you go to work on a motor that has had its power turned off, you still might get a shock from the stored energy unless you discharge that energy first. This energy storing business has some advantages too. As I said earlier, one of the uses of capacitance is to counter the effects of inductance. When the inductance in a circuit would limit current more than a desirable amount, additional capacitance can be added to that circuit to bring current flow up to the level that's needed. The devices that are added to electrical circuits to increase their capacitance are called capacitors. A capacitor is a device that stores energy. A typical capacitor is made up of two plates separated by an insulator. The insulator is called a dielectric. The dielectric keeps electrons from flowing from one plate of the capacitor to the other. Before a capacitor can store energy, it has to have some energy supplied to it. That's called charging the capacitor. And this very simply is how it's done. When a capacitor is connected to a power source, electrons flow onto one of the capacitor plates. They stay on that plate because the dielectric keeps them from getting to the other plate. The first plate thus has an excess of electrons, so it has a negative charge. Because like charges repel each other, the negative charge on the first plate forces electrons away from the second plate. The second plate thus becomes positive. Electrons from the positive plate flow back to the power source.